Budapest that cross the Danube River, Europe's most famous river. But for us Jews, it just becomes this place of horror. And I can't get my head out of it. And who would expect me to, especially since October 7th, when it's all happening all over again. With the notable exception that Budapest is one of the safest cities in Europe for Jews right now, because a guy who the world hates, President Viktor Orban, is one of the best friends that Israel has in all of Europe. He just hosted Prime Minister Netanyahu here when virtually every other European capital said that they'll arrest Netanyahu on these fraudulent ICC charges. So we have Viktor Orban, who's very close to Trump. We have President Trump himself. We have very few friends who are moral around the world. But Budapest is actually very safe. And you have 100,000 Jews in Budapest. You have incredible kosher restaurants. Tons of Jews walking around Hasidim openly looking Jewish, being very visible. That does not happen in Paris. It does not happen in Amsterdam. It doesn't happen in Brussels, where Jews are shaking these days, as I've shown you. But here's the beautiful Danube. Here's the chain. And it's kind of horrible for me as a Jew that I can't just enjoy these places. That my head always goes, especially on October 7th, to the anti-Semitism. That's especially true for our family, because my wife Debbie is from a Holocaust family. I'm not from a Holocaust family, thank God. But Debbie's family was wiped out in the Holocaust, and few survived, obviously. Her grandparents were from Slovakia, from a city just 3 hours drive from here, Michalovce, Kozice, and they were they escaped to Budapest. During the war, they had just been married. They were almost killed. They were almost bayoneted as they were escaped through a farmer's, a wagon, and he had straw covering them. And the Cross soldiers, the Nazi soldiers, were putting in their daggers, and somehow they escaped and lived. And they lived here as non-Jews, and they lived in hiding in this city that we're at right now. And Debbie's holding this phone, and I imagine what's going through Debbie's mind. It's terrible that what's going through Debbie's mind, that her family barely survived in this city in Budapest, where 90% of the Jews were murdered. So it's painful for me. I think for my wife it's even more painful. Anyway, God bless you all, and thank you, President Orban, for your protection of the Jewish community here in Hungary. You are falsely accused of anti-Semitism by a bunch of idiots. You're a phenomenal friend of the Jewish people, phenomenal friend of the United States, and a phenomenal friend of the State of Israel. Thank you, President Orban. God bless you.